What happens when a python comes face to face with a massive crocodile? If this incident is to go by, the massive olive python wins as it swallowed a massive crocodile whole after it squeezed the life out of the larger reptile in a murky Australian swamp. In this video, you will see incredible battles involving large snakes. Number 7. Python vs. Deer. Patience is a virtue among predators. A snake shuts down its body functions to utilize the least amount of energy while waiting for a meal to come within striking distance. There's nothing left but a pilot light, and it can stay that way for weeks. Mammals all around it are using their energy in a way that appears excessive in comparison to the snake. When the snake must move quickly, it may do so at a record-breaking speed. A snake can take its time with its meal. Once its prey has been caught, this massive python is devouring a deer. A python kills its food by wrapping its coils around it and squeezing it until it can no longer breathe. But consuming its meal takes time, because it's much easier that way the deer will fall at first. This python is on the hunt and it clearly targets a deer. Once the snake has the deer under wraps, it begins to suffocate it, even though the baby deer's mother tries to help free it. Unfortunately, it is not to be, and the reptile begins to swallow the young deer. When a party of hunters come upon a python eating a blessed box, they are treated to an uncommon sight. They arrive just as the snake had the blessed box head in its mouth, and the python swallowed the entire blessed box in 5 hours. It just lays there the next day on this third with a gigantic feature in its belly. The footage was sped up 8 times to show the entire process of how the python swallowed the blessed box, as well as the snake's strength and power as it squeezed the blessed box entrails open so it could fit inside its mouth. This is rare footage, but these hunters were fortunate enough to see it. Now it's your time to witness this incredible footage. The python, like many predators, hunts from the shadows. Its snout has sensors that can determine whether or not prey is nearby. Springbok, the python grabs prey in its teeth and in a two-pronged attack, then uses bondage as a second weapon. The python tightens its grip on the springbok with each extension. As the python tightens its hold, each breath becomes shallower until death by strangulation occurs. The jaws are now putting on a show. Pythons do not chew or dismember their prey. Instead, they swallow a whole, beginning with the head. This python has one of the largest digestions ever recorded, and it may go a year without eating. Number 6. Anaconda vs. Cow. This snake is extremely hungry, so it decides to take on a cow. That's right. Look at how the snake pulls the cow out of this enclosure and hangs onto the cow's leg. Is this going to happen? I have no clue because the guy filming decides to stop. This giant anaconda is eating a cow alive. It starts with the head. As you can see in the video, I know snakes can open their mouths very wide, but a cow is huge. It will take the snake months to digest such a large animal. But when you see the tip of the legs entering the snake's body, you know the snake is finished eating. On second thought, after looking at this again, I don't think this is a cow. It looks more like a deer to me. Another cow is in trouble when this snake tries to suffocate it. However, this cow is not about to accept its predicaments and easily frees itself and escapes. Number 5. King Cobra. The world's largest and deadliest reptiles are the python and the king cobra. In terms of distinctions, pythons are non-venomous constrictors, but the king cobra is known for its lethal toxin. In addition, pythons are often larger, longer, and have better camouflage, whereas king cobras are far more agile. In this video, it seems like the cobra is winning this battle and has already begun swallowing the python. Are you surprised? Here's another battle between a king cobra and a python. This one is evenly matched, and after a little biting and straggling, the two reptiles have had a luff and part ways. A python is coiled around king cobra. Will the cobra manage to free itself? The snakes are immobile, so it's kind of difficult to tell what's going on. This king cobra strikes a python several times, and the python doesn't have much of a response for the cobra. The cobra decides it's time to eat and begins swallowing the python. Number 4. Boa constrictor. This is one big snake to have at home. I sincerely hope this guy doesn't have any children living in the house. This boa looks at this tiny mouse and salivates right before he is going to strike. The mouse sits in the corner of the aquarium, praying it's calling on all of the things in the world to grant it one last miracle, which is to escape the snake's wrath. Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen. The snake takes its time, and now the mouse even turns its head away from the reptile because it doesn't want to see what will happen next. When the mouse moves, the snake strikes. The mouse screams all in vain because it's the head of the road for the tiny rodent. This bunny rabbit doesn't know it's being served for dinner to a large boa. It just looks around the enclosure and thinks it's quite big. It doesn't even notice the snake. The snake is curled up in a tiny aquarium filled with water. And when it notices the fluffy bunny, it sticks its head out of the aquarium. The bunny has its back turned to the snake, and when it turns around and stares right at the reptile, the snake doesn't move. Suddenly the snake strikes and coils itself around the rabbit, immediately killing it. Number 3. Snake versus alligator. After a dramatic 5-hour battle, a snake fought, wrestled, and eventually ate a crocodile whole. The encounter was caught on camera at Lake Moonder in Queensland, Australia. The snake, believed to be a 10-foot python, strangled the crocodile to death before dragging it to shore and devouring a whole in front of a stunned audience. Burmese pythons are a South Asian invasive species that has made its home in the Florida Everglades. As top predators, these huge constrictors compete with American alligators. These two apex predators are fighting for the first time in history for the same resources. Large alligators have a major edge over pythons due to their formidable jaws. With a force of over 2 psi per square inch, the alligator grips the python. The python will almost certainly not be able to break free from this grip. Despite this, the alligator yields to the python after a long and arduous battle. An unforeseen turn of events occurs. The Burmese python has been known to scare the alligator into retreating on rare instances, and this is one of them. This python coils around the small alligator and begins to squeeze it to death. The alligator tries hard to get out of its misery, but the python has already begun swallowing its head. Unless this alligator is Houdini, I don't see it getting out of this. Number 2. Snake vs. rabbits. This cute little white rabbit is this Burmese python's lunch. And after missing its final strike, this NYK doesn't miss a second time and kills the poor rabbit. These are expensive pets to have when you must feed them live rabbits all the time. This reticulated python doesn't miss on its first try, and it has game over very quickly for the rabbit. How many snakes does this guy have? Here's a third snake being fed another rabbit. But this time it looks like the snake is not hungry. Another bunny rabbit bites the dust. When it is fed to this python, the snake strikes but misses. The bunny decides to walk around while the snake is adjusting its fangs. The snake comes back on the attack. But besides staring at the rabbit, it doesn't do anything else. This diamond-backed rattlesnake goes for a walk, and along the way it finds a cute bunny rabbit. It slowly sneaks up on the oblivious rabbit, and just when it gets closer, the rabbit hops away. Every time the snake is inches away and about to strike, the rabbit hops away to a few more feet. It seems like the rabbit is already being struck because it begins shaking, which is caused by the effect of the venom. It's time to say goodbye to the little rabbit. Number 1. Snake versus lizard. Snakes eat all sorts of animals, and lizards are no exception. This sidewinder snake hides under the sand and strikes this lizard. When it gets close, the lizard doesn't see it coming at his toast. Here is the lizard in an uncompromising position. It's still breathing, trying to resist the snake's attack. But it's not easy to do so. This snake is not only suffocating the lizard, but it's also sinking its fangs into the lizard's body. Once the snake thinks the lizard is dead, it detaches its fangs and moves toward the head of the lizard to swallow it. But the lizard is still not dead. As you can see it breathing, so the snake begins to swallow it alive. But when the lizard begins to wiggle, the snake must go back into attack mode. After 7 minutes, the lizard dies, and the snake can finally eat. Here's a small snake coiled around a lizard. The snake makes the kill and begins to eat the reptile. If you like this video, then please hit the like and subscribe button for more videos. Thanks for watching.